What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In this week's technique video, this is the fourth week in the first series that we're doing. So we went from the single leg X entry into the knee cut pass into the arm triangle. Now this week, we're gonna figure out what we can do, what option we have if Todd starts to defend the arm triangle. If he starts to turn away, we have a back take and we have another submission from there. This series is all about learning how to chain all of these different movements together. That's what Jiu Jitsu is all about. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start here with Todd in the arm triangle, and one of the reactions that he might give is he might start to turn away. So as he does that, that's when we start to set up our back take. So Todd's gonna be in the triangle. He's gonna start to turn away in order to defend. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm gonna slide this outside knee all the way up and in towards his head. The next thing that I wanna do is I want to switch my grip. So right now, I have a gable grip. I'm going to switch to a seatbelt. So the hand that's closest to the mat, I'm going to slide over his shoulder. The hand that's already underneath his armpit, I'm going to grab my own wrist. So I slid my knee up. I'm switching from a gable grip to a seatbelt. So this hand slides over his shoulder. The hand that's already under the armpit, I'm gonna grab my own wrist. And now, once I have my seatbelt, I'm gonna get the gift wrap. So the hand that's over his shoulder is gonna grab his wrist. I pull it in nice and tight. I'm gonna switch my head positioning to facing him, turning away, and I'm keeping him nice and tight. My chest is right up against his back. I'm ear to ear. My knee is right up against his back. And I'm gonna start sitting to my hip. As I sit to my hip, I throw my left hook in. I pull Todd in towards my lap, throw my left hook in, and I roll to my other hip. Once I'm here, I wanna start to trap this arm. So I throw my leg over, get my foot to the inside, and I do a hamstring curl, okay? So I have Todd's right arm trapped, and I have his left arm trapped. Once I have his right arm trapped, I want to punch this arm down. So again, I'm going to switch my grip. My hand that's grabbing my own wrist is going to grab his wrist, and I punch it down. Now he's almost completely defenseless, right? The hand that's already underneath his neck, I'm going to slide it even more underneath, grab the back of his shoulder, pinch my elbow, and I get the tap. All right, so again, I'm gonna start with Todd inside my arm triangle, and he's gonna go to defend it, so he's gonna start to turn away. Todd turns away, so the first thing I'm going to do is slide my outside knee all the way up towards his head. But notice how I'm not sliding it out here. I'm sliding it in and up. So my shin is right up against his back. Slide my knee up. At the same time, I'm gonna go transition from a gable grip into a seatbelt. So the hand that's near the mat slides over his shoulder. The hand that's already underneath his armpit, I grab my own wrist. I'm keeping my chest up against his back. I'm gonna switch my head positioning from facing Todd to turning away, and I go ear to ear. Once I get my seatbelt, I'm gonna also grab his wrist, and that's called a gift wrap. When I get this grip, I'm keeping everything really tight, so I'm pulling my arms in towards my chest. Pull everything in, keep everything nice and tight. The next thing that I'm going to do is I want to start sitting to my hip. At the same time, I'm pulling Todd in towards my lap, and I'm throwing my left hook in. So I'm here, nice and tight. I start to sit to my hip. I keep Todd really tight to me. Notice how, when I'm sitting to my hip, I'm not creating all of this space, sitting, and then I end up here. Now Todd is a little bit too low, and he has some space to start wiggling out and possibly getting free. So I'm keeping my chest attached to him at all times. I start sitting to my hip, throw my hook in, and I sit to my far hip. Once I get here, I throw this outside foot over his arm, and I trap it, and I'm doing a hamstring curl to keep it nice and tight. Once I get my back take, notice how I'm staying ear to ear. And now my hand that's gripping my wrist, I'm gonna switch to his wrist and I punch it down, okay? Now Todd doesn't have either of his arms to defend himself. My hand is already underneath his neck. I'm just gonna slide it even higher. I grab the back of his shoulder, pinch my elbow, and I get the tap. So now let's do the whole sequence that we've been working on for the past 4 weeks. Okay, so I'm playing open guard, elbows are inside of my knees, Todd starts to step inside of my guard, I block, hand goes to the floor, sit escape to create some space so I can get my hook to the front of his ankle. The hand that's on his thigh is gonna come around his knee, and I pull myself in nice and tight to shin on shin. The hand that's on the floor goes to the inside of his knee to block. I fall to my shoulder, lift my hook, jump my hips. I get to single leg X and notice how his heel is off the floor. I'm torquing his knee to the inside and I'm blocking his arm. Todd's gonna wanna get his posture back, and as he does so, I switch my knees to the outside and I get my sweep, okay? Once I'm here, I can let go of his hand and switch to his foot to kind of prevent him from doing any kind of defense here. Once I have his foot blocked, I start to sit up. My foot that's on the outside of his hip, I bring it towards my butt, I roll over my shin, and I come to combat base. I'm keeping this knee in the center to prevent him from closing up his guard. Now, to do the knee cut pass, my hand is gonna go from his foot to his hip, and I make sure I bring my shoulder and my elbow to the inside of his leg. My hand that's wrapped around his ankle, I bring to the inside of his knee, I lift my hips, and I step my foot out nice and wide for a good base. From here, Todd's gonna start to frame, so I have to get my underhook, and I pummel to do so. I get my underhook, I grab the back of his shoulder, and I'm nice and tight, my posture is low. My hand that's on the inside of his knee grabs behind his elbow, I pull Todd towards me, I slide my knee through, I get my gable, and I get a good side control. When I'm ready to go to mount, I keep my knee nice and tight, sliding it across his belly. Again, I don't want to just bring my leg over because that gives Todd the opportunity to trap my leg, and now I'm in half guard. So to prevent that, I'm slicing my shin right across his belly, lots of pressure, and I get to mount. I'm already in the position here that I need to be in for the arm triangle. My hand is underneath his neck, my opposite hand is underneath his armpit. I'm gonna open my gable, start walking my arm up and towards his head, and I use my forearm to lift and grab behind his shoulder. Now I'm gonna bring my head to the outside, behind his tricep, and I push it across. I'm gonna re-gable, slide my chest down so I can get my shoulder underneath his neck. I'm ready to get out of mount, so I widen my elbow to create a better base. Windshield wipe my shin across his belly. Bring my hips down to the floor. Now Todd starts to turn away to defend, so I'm going to slide my outside knee all the way to his head, switch to my seatbelt, and then switch to a gift wrap. I pull Todd in nice and tight. My chest is on the back of his back. I'm ear to ear. My shin is pressed up against his back as well, and I'm gonna start sitting to my hip. As I pull Todd in towards my lap, I get my left hook in, and I fall to my opposite hip. Once I'm here, my outside hook comes across his arm, and I do a hamstring curl to secure it nice and tight. Once I have my back take, I'm going to punch this arm down. So I'm switching my grip again. My hand that's holding my own wrist is gonna switch to his wrist, and I punch it down. My arm is already underneath his neck, right? This is the choking arm. So I'm just gonna bring it up even higher, directly underneath his neck. I grab behind his shoulder, I pinch my elbow, and I get the tap. Leave a comment. Let me know if you guys like this video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this whole series of chaining different movements together. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. And until the next video, I will see you guys next time.